Hello, Dr. Lenz here, and let's see here. I'm going to talk about getting an image inserted into a Word document. So let's say I want to have an image like embedded within this paragraph. So it looks like pretty cool. So, the text will sort of wrap around it. So let's figure out how to make that happen. All right, first step. Click on Insert, then Pictures. And then you want to find out where you have it. I do highly recommend it if you're going to grab an image from the web, download the image, save it to your computer. Okay, so let's get this. Okay, so once you get an image embedded, inserted into the document, it is going to pop up wherever your cursor is. So this one is pretty big, and it really kind of takes over the entire page. And I want it pretty small to be, just so like the text can wrap around it. So let's take a look at some of these options of how to make it work for us. All right, the next piece of advice is you want to actually have the file, the image file that you want to insert. Next, you want to make sure it is a good high resolution. You want to start with an image that is too big and get it smaller rather than start with something too small and try to get it bigger. If you're starting with something small and getting it bigger, it's going to get pixelated and distorted, and it's going to look tacky and cheap. But if you start with something bigger, it's going to have better resolution and it'll look good smaller. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Two options to resize the image. One, you can click one of the white dots and drag, make it bigger or smaller. However, you want to go with the corner ones because if you do just the ones that are midway, you're going to end up stretching it and distorting it. So remember, aim for the corners and drag, and that will keep the aspect ratio. The next option is you can right-click and bring up a bunch of image options. And let's take a look at size and position. So here it gives the actual measurement in inches. And this is a good option if you want to keep things the same height and or width when you're inserting images, to give your document a nice sort of level of consistency. So let's bring this down. I like to work with the bigger of the two dimensions. I want to make sure I have my aspect ratio locked, otherwise it'll get distorted. We're going to bring this down to, let's bring this down to 1 3/4 inch. So this might be a little small for how much detail is in it. So I'm going to bring it up just a little bit. Okay, the next is what we want to take a look at is how does this image sort of relate to the rest of the text, and how is the rest of the text going to look around it. Right now it is actually embedded within the word customers. And we want to be able to move that and get it somewhere a little bit different. So the great thing about once you have the image embedded into the document is it kind of works like a character of itself. You can copy, paste it, cut it. You can also drag it around to make it work a little bit better for you. So let's take a look at the options, how to place it. So right now what it is this is in line with text, which means it is acting like that character within the line of text. So if you change stuff around with your image or change stuff around with the text, it's going to affect one in the other. The other way you can look at it is the square option, which means the text will work independently of the image rather than the image working within the line of text. I hope that kind of makes sense. Think of it like inline with text means that you are blending it in with everything else that's on the page. Square or wrapping around it means there's a little bit of separation, kind of like oil and water. Okay, so I like this option because this gives us a little bit more flexibility of what we want to do. What we can do is we can move it around and see how the text will react. So this means, and I want it right in line, embedded right within the paragraph. So actually, I think we could get this a little smaller again. Bring it up, and I want the paragraph to wrap around top of it and below it. And that creates a nice sharp look. Now, you might also want to think about how are things lining up with the margin. Because if we go in too far, we have this white space right here, and that may not be quite what we want. So what we can take a look at is bring up the grid lines, and this will bring up, it'll make your page basically like graph paper. So here we know where the margin is. So let's bring that nice and tight with the margin so it'll fall in line with all the other text and it'll look nice and sharp. And to get rid of the graph paper, there we go. Okay, so next what we also have is another option. Let's bring up these options again. Wrap text, okay. We have either move with text or fix position on the page, and that is pretty self-explanatory. Move with text means if you start moving this paragraph, the image will come with it. So let's see what happens if say, hey, I want to move this paragraph, or yeah, I want to bring it down a little bit. Oops. Oh, accidentally hit. Okay, let's go with move with image. Yeah, let's just back up a little bit. Okay, move with text. So that means, let's say I want to bring this paragraph down a little bit so I can insert something else up in here. I can hit enter a couple of times to move the paragraph. The image comes right with it. Or, if you want to keep the image there where it is, this will anchor it on the page. You can move the paragraph around and this will stay put right where it is. Okay, other options that you probably almost rarely will use, if ever, is you can have the image, you can have it sort of text. Let's have it in front of the text. I don't know why we would want to do that. Or maybe we want it behind the text. Behind the text, I can understand you would maybe have this for maybe having a watermark or something like that on your page. You know, something like original, do not copy, or something like that. Okay, this has been a long-winded video. All right, so hopefully this will help. I think I will have another video about setting up some tables because you can use images within a table to make documents look really pretty sharp. Okay. I hope this was helpful.